Issues during the broadcast, please call the Oregon Studio Hotline at 336-831-0864. Stations, your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
He's back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you for being with us, everybody. It is Oregon Football Media Day. For many of us, that's like the kickoff of football season. On today's show, we will have here in the Country Financial Studio head coach Mario Cristobal, who, if you're live with us at 1:01 p.m. in the afternoon Pacific time, Coach Cristobal just wrapped up talking with the media, and look at that. He's on his way in right now as we speak. Coach Cristobal going to join us here in the Country Financial Studio. We also have offensive coordinator Joe Moorhead. We will also have defensive coordinator Tim DeRuyter. And Coach, the headset's ready for you. I mean, like I said, this is like the official kickoff of football season, I think, for a lot of us. We also, by the way, everybody, have a bronze medalist to tell you about it in Raven Rogers here in just a moment. All right. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, shall we? How are you?
Ready to roll,
Yeah?
It's been a long time coming. Preparations have been outstanding, very challenging, very demanding. So we want to see what the product of all that work is.
What was the off-season like for you? Was it a little more normal than maybe the last off-season was for your squad?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the things that come with preparation, just as important as your squats, your cleans, your split jerks, all that stuff is that time together. You know, you have to make sure that your team activities round up your guys, that you start galvanizing your team. You know, the fabric of your brotherhood has to be strong. It has to be real. And the only way to do that is spend time together. Without that, it doesn't work. So all in all, very productive.
So what's the camp schedule here coming up? What do fans need to know as you guys get rolling again?
No, we're rolling. I mean, right away, we're starting up on Friday and Saturday. Sundays are the day off. You know, aside from that, we're rolling throughout the course of the week. Some days a little bit heavier than others. The work intensifies on certain days, or intense every single day. But certainly sometimes you have to bring levels down a little bit to be able to have productive weeks and not hurt yourself. But, you know, it's about, you know, football is a demanding sport. And you have to train to get ready to practice. We did that. You have to practice a certain way to get ready to play a certain way. And it's time for that as well. And we have to form our team's mentality and identity with this camp.
Well, I'll tell you, so sitting over your shoulder there, that's a full Autzen Stadium. I'm so excited for that. How excited are you for that, Coach?
I'm excited for the fans. Here's where, I mean, I'm really grateful to have, I mean, I'm blessed beyond words to be here at Oregon, but, you know, we did get to play last year. It wasn't what we wanted, but we actually got out there. The fans never had a chance, never had a shot, and they've been deprived for a long time. So the expectation is record decibel levels at Autzen Stadium. I mean, it should be an all-time scene, right, from just pure lunacy in right over here, a couple of feet right down from us.
What about that new scoreboard, Coach? Have you guys gotten a chance to really check that out yet, too?
Well, it's the best one in college football, and it certainly adds so much to game day. Yeah. I mean, the videos that come with that, the music, everything else, just combining that with our crowd, our people, our family. Oh my Lord, it's going to be a spectacle.
You know, if you could do me a favor, Coach, we were talking about before you came in, you know, this is the first time we've had you back in the studio. So first of all, just I'm glad for that, and thanks for taking the time to do it. So that camera right there, I mean, imagine that's the fans if you could for us, okay? What would you tell fans about having them back in Autzen for us?
Bring it. That's the first thing I would say. Just bring it. Bring an entire year and a half, maybe even more worth of just pent-up frustration, wanting to get out there and just cut it loose. Just come out there on every opportunity that we have to play in our home stadium and cut it loose. These Saturdays are for you, for the community, for everyone involved. They need to hear us all over Pac-12 country right from here from Eugene, Oregon. So just bring it. Bring it every opportunity you can because your Ducks are going to bring it all the time.
I love it. Head coach Mario Cristobal. All right, let's talk a little bit of football. What's the roster look like, Coach? I mean, just give us your breakdown. You happy with what the roster's shaping up to look like for this camp?
It's getting there. You know, certain positions are a little bit more seasoned than others, but we feel like we're continuing to bring in some talent that is improving the caliber of our roster. And player development is now the second part, personnel use being the third part. I know we sound like a broken record when we say that, but it is as simple as that. Certainly relationships and whatnot cement the whole thing and bring it all together. But we feel like we've upped the level of competition at a lot of positions. We feel that it's going to show up in the camp, and we want everybody to rise to the occasion, to the competition. It's the only way to get better. We have to create adversity. There's only so much we could throw up on that board and put up on that film and sit there in air conditioning and talk about it. You got to feel it. We got to make sure our players feel those tough situations, get to experience pure, true struggle, and find a way to come out on top on the other side, knowing that there's no situation, no bad play, no bad call, no circumstance that we can't overcome.
There's a lot of players, I think fans in general, that want to hear about, but you've got some guys that have been around the block now a few times, some leaders on this squad. Who comes to mind when I ask you about leadership in this locker room?
Oh, there's a fair amount. It's unfair to start naming names because you'll forget guys. You'll leave guys out. Guys, I'll tell you, a couple guys went to Media Day and did a phenomenal job. But then you have guys like Verone McKinley, which, Media Day should provide more opportunity for guys like that to be in front of the microphone. Johnny Johnson has done a great job, with that as well. But the numbers they're pretty significant in terms of the guys that are stepping up and doing so. Some in their own way, or it's more towards a crowd of 1, 2, maybe up to 5 guys, and other guys can hold an entire room, and that's okay, as long as it continues to groom itself, right? And we're certainly nurturing that in every possible way that we can. But it's growing and it's strong and it's real, and that's what's important.
Coach, I remember once before on a coach's show, maybe a couple years ago, we were talking about how you'd like to let leadership sort of foster itself within a locker room. How do you go about nurturing it? I mean, how do you and your staff really, I guess, approach that? How do you try to get that out of
Well,
guys?
You don't come out of the womb, with those natural skills. Not everybody, right? I mean, you're going to have your moments where you got to teach. Like, for example, you see so many examples on TV about guys getting on other guys, but maybe guys never led before, and if he sees a guy not doing exactly right, he might jump all over him in a bad way and just create negative energy and animosity. So you help those guys, and they want to learn. These guys want to be good. These guys are a really good group of guys that want to win, that want to just elevate the standard every which way whatsoever. So they're like sponges, and you've got to be in tune what they're saying, what they're feeling, what they're doing, because there are a lot of teaching moments there, and those teaching moments are critical to the growth of the organization. So we're all over it, man. It's a steady barrage of just leadership, mentality, mindset. I mean, you name it, we're attacking it in every possible way.
There's a guy that shows up on an awful lot of preseason watch lists. That probably won't mean much to this guy because I've talked about him before, but that's Kayvon Thibodeau, a guy who wants to really play at the pinnacle of college football and football in general, right? What can you tell us about his development heading into this season?
The best part about him is the effort, the work ethic. I think there's a lot of guys around the world that are talented, and then how many actually match their talent with their work ethic? Well, he's that guy. And we're going to throw a lot at him. I think it's important. He knows that, and he wants that. He knows that, he has a very long career ahead of him, right? But he's not. His concern, his focus is where his feet are right now, and to maximize that and to further benefit him for the future, the right now part of it has got to be full throttle. He knows that, and he knows that his full throttle mentality is going to impact the rest of the guys on the football team. So, all in all, just feed the guy, feed him opportunities, put him in situations where he's got to respond, put him in situations where he's uncomfortable so he continues growing. The worst you could do to an elite player is stagnate him, stymie him. So we got to continue finding ways to challenge him so that he can help others grow.
What about another guy on the defense? I've heard a lot about Popo, and that's a guy who's been around the block, like we've said a few times. What's his development been like? What do you expect from Popo this year?
Steady development. He's got a chance to be an excellent football player. We're going to challenge Popo. We're going to challenge him hard because his upside is like very few people out there. Big, strong, explosive, athletic, tremendous human being. Has really worked hard, has had a great offseason, and we want to see a consistently dominant football player. So he already knows. We go block destruction. We go 7-on-7 run. We're going to be bringing it right. We might run the ball 7 times in a row at him every single time because he has that kind of ability. We believe in him, and we're going to push him. We're going to challenge him to make him the best he can be.
How's your offensive line look?
They're going to be a special group.
Are they?
They are. They're going to be a special group. Older guys, younger guys, great combination, great leadership. Those guys, they grind. I mean, they're all about it. Alex Forsythe has taken just a monster step as a leader, just bringing those guys together, demanding things be done a certain way, and they all fall in line.
Alex Forsythe, everybody also, I have to say, he interned, I should say, with the sponsorship team this past summer. Coach, I mean, I'm telling you right now, whatever he decides to do, he's going to be successful at it. Those are the kind of guys you want around, right?
And he'll always have his gallon of water riding shotgun
Attaboy.
everywhere he goes.
That's what you like. What about some of your skill positions? I want to ask you a little bit about the wide receiver room, the depth in your running back room. How do those positions shape up for this year?
Competitive. Some older, more seasoned guys at some of those positions. You've seen the way a guy like Johnny Johnson, man, him announcing that he was returning just shows you a couple things. His commitment to improvement himself individually, but also the fact that he wants more for Oregon, wants more out of Oregon and more for Oregon, along with Jalen Red. Those are two guys that have made a lot of plays in their time here at the University of Oregon, and they're surrounded by a couple of other older guys and then some younger guys that hit campus over here in January that can go. And I'm excited to see guys like Isaiah Crocker, which you haven't seen much from, but he's got a lot of ability. We're going to push him hard, and it needs to be pushed hard. I hope segments like this are listened to by guys like him because we love the guy, and he's got tremendous talent, and it's time to really just kick it into gear for a guy like that. And we have a pretty good number of guys like him at other positions where they're talented. It's their time, and it's time to go right now. So let's go find out in camp, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go put them to the test and challenge them, and let's make them the best Oregon Ducks they can be.
How about your running backs? Nice to have a couple studs coming back, huh?
Yeah, those guys are great. Those guys are like Energizer bunnies too, man. They are like I still recall as a sophomore, or when they were sophomores, they had gotten banged up in the scrimmage, and so they weren't allowed to practice that day, but they wanted to. So they were off to the side, and they were rehabbing those guys, and one of our receivers broke away for a long touchdown run, and they just cut away from where they were rehabbing. They just ran to the field. We're jumping up and down. I'm like, oh, my Lord, they'll be back at rehab tomorrow. So those guys are special human beings. Those guys don't there's no flinching in those big games. Look at the games they've been in and how they've performed in those games. Those guys they're special, and they're gonna lead us this year.
Fans always want to know about the quarterback, Coach. You've talked a lot about Anthony Brown and how he's earned to be in the spot that he's in. What's the quarterback position look like?
I have. I mean, he's earned to take the first reps with the ones, and he goes into fall camp as the one quarterback, fully knowing that there's 3 very talented guys, 3 freshmen that are going to get their opportunities in time. And at every position that we put out there, we're going to create competition. We don't just hand over positions, but we're also very honest, very transparent. You don't create anything false. You don't create false narratives. It just doesn't work. I don't sit here in front of you, in front of the media, and try to say, hey, this guy's better, but that guy. No, we don't live our lives like that. We don't run our program like that. Anthony's done a very good job. Anthony has a very unique skill set. He could do just about anything a quarterback can do. So can those other guys. Even Jay Butterfield, who, people say, well, he's not really a runner. I know he's about 7.5 feet tall, but Jay Butterfield, he's got some decent wheels to him,
Especially if it's 7.5 feet tall,
He's 7.5 feet tall. He is. He's like, one of those giant, centers from, I don't know. But they can all run this offense in a very effective manner as it relates to everything, throwing the ball, pushing the ball down the field, the quarterback run game, the RPO, the quick game, the screen game. They're all very good, very happy with the way that Robbie Ashford's developed. Ty Thompson coming in here as a freshman, showing some tremendous progress right away. Those guys are gonna make it a real competition, and they are gonna get opportunities.
How beneficial is it to have another year of experience in the offense under Coach Moorhead? How valuable is that?
Well, the thing is, you got to remember, he had 4 practices with our
Right.
football team. I'll never forget after the 4th practice, he's like, man, we're going to be really, really good. And all of a sudden, bam.
Yeah.
And then, all right, we'll pick it up in the summer. Bam. All right, we'll have fall camp. Bam.
Bam.
So it was one after the other. But still, I'll tell you what, you look at our first 3.5 games, we led the conference, and statistically in the country, we're top 10 in just about most prominent categories. And then we slipped, then we slipped. And so those are things that I think with time, with experience, with repetition, with adjustments, with also the implementation of the entire playbook, those things address it. Now, securing the football, ball security, not turning it over, that's something that we have to do a better job as coaches with, because that did hurt us. But all in all, I think you got to look, Coach Moorhead, that guy's awesome. As a coach, as a human being, as a leader of men, I mean, we are blessed to have him here. Such great experience everywhere he's been. Been a lot of places now. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so that's huge for me. So just really honored to have him here, and he's had a great impact so far.
Well, Coach, thanks for always taking the time to chat with us. I could talk to you for another few hours, but you've got a job to do. So thanks for always taking the time.
Just a couple things we got going on.
Just a few, just a few. But thanks for taking the time. I look forward to catching up with you for some coaches shows.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for being here.
Let's
really
go Ducks,
appreciate
man.
it.
Always.
When we come back, everybody, it's Media Day, the special on Duck Insider. Joe Moorhead, the guy we were just talking about. He's going to be here in the studio after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
These are the sounds of a dinner. A dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
We're back in the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're just talking real quick during the break as we welcome offensive coordinator Joe Moorhead in. Coach, I couldn't remember if you had actually done a show with us in the studio instead of sitting here on this little TV on Zoom, So.
It's been a while. I think it was the first January, but it's good to be back.
Man, that feels like an eternity ago for me. Does it feel like an eternity ato for you?
And then some.
Oh, God. So are you a little more settled in now? Has it been a more normal approach to this season than the previous year?
Yeah, I mean – to have a spring ball, have the kids go through a full summer, and now get a, God willing, a full camp and head into the season. It's, feels good to get back.
We were just talking with Coach Cristobal just about the benefits, Coach, of having a normal offseason, and for you, a year two with your offense. How helpful is that as an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, it's about, repetition and, practice being cut short after, I think, 4 opportunities last spring, then not being sure you're going to play it all. Rest of the country's playing, and we're kind of sitting at home wondering what's going to happen. And then October 7th, here we go. So, yeah, there's certainly things now as we head into year 2, that we'll be able to do from a schematic standpoint that unfortunately we weren't able to get to in year 1.
Leadership on your offense. I always like to talk with coaches heading into a fall camp about, guys that have kind of stepped up as leaders on your offense in the different rooms. Who comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, the two that immediately pop into my mind, and, I think leadership is it can't be given, it has to be earned, first by what you do, then by what you say. And Alex Forsythe and Johnny Johnson, the guys that went to Pac-12 media days or were scheduled to go.
Right.
I think those are the two guys in my mind that stand out the most on offense.
Well, let's talk about those guys. I mean, just what does it mean to your offense to have Johnny say that he wants to come back and play again? How much does that help the wide receiver room and the whole offense?
His veteran presence, the fact that he's performed very well in big games, and once again, the younger guys and even the older guys who see how Johnny operates, how he conducts himself, how hard he works in the weight room and on the field, every practice rep, is at a very high level, and then he translates that to game. So, and he's a guy who does things right off the field as well. So if you're looking for somebody to mirror their actions, he's someone that's knows. I mean, he's a big-time guy.
And Alex Forsythe, we know, carries his jug of water with him everywhere he goes, right?
Yeah, if you're thirsty, it's too late. So you got to make sure you're hydrated.
How nice is it to have one of the leaders be on that offensive line? How much does that help your offense?
It's as Coach Cristobal has kind of brought that mentality to the Pac-12 and to Oregon. I think all great teams' mentalities are dictated by the offensive and defensive line, and to have a guy, particularly at the center position, who can drive our culture and kind of it resonates in what he does and what he says. That's critically important.
Offensive line depth, that's something that we talked with Coach Cristobal about just briefly. What can you say about the offensive line depth this year?
No, you look and you feel great about almost 3 deep across the board, and Coach Mirabal and Coach Cristobal do an unbelievable job with those guys. From a fundamental and technique standpoint, a schematic standpoint, and you look last year, we were going into, like you said, kind of a peculiar season.
Yeah.
With 5 new offensive linemen, you lose the Outland Trophy winner and a first-round pick, and I think the 4 other guys got into camps, and some of them are still on teams. So now you're bringing all of them back, and then plus some guys. So there's a, it's not just talent now, but talent with experience.
Back to the wide receiver room. I'm just kind of curious, Coach. We're sitting here and talking about Johnny Johnson, but that's it seems like, deep and competitive room for you. Is that an accurate assessment of your wide receivers?
It is, and I think it's a very good combination of experience and then the infusion of the young talent as well.
How about tight end? It seems like that's a position, I know a lot of fans wondering about Cam McCormick. Coach mentioned that he's coming along, hoping to be able to play for you again. Anytime you have a Herbert on your roster around these parts, people are going to get kind of excited about that. Just tight ends in general for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a staple of our offense. They need to perform like a receiver in the pass game and block like a lineman in the run game. And, there's, kind of like the receiver room, there's a, between DJ and Spencer and, waiting for Patrick kind of to come along as he was bouncing off an injury. And then you got 2 really good young guys. And, competition brings out the best in everyone. And there's I think fall camp is going to be a valuable opportunity for us, not just to improve as an offense, but to have guys compete with each other and elevate the standard of everyone involved.
Joe Moorhead, Oregon offensive coordinator, joining us. All right, Coach, how about the quarterback spot? Every fan always wants to ask you about the quarterback. Anthony Brown.
And they usually know better too, right?
Oh, well. Oh, man. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I guess that's where the term armchair quarterback was derived.
Before I ask you just about that, how do you handle that as a coach? Armchair quarterbacks in general. How have you gone about that in your career?
About worrying about that?
Yeah.
No, you just got to go about your job and do what you do, and and nothing you're going to do about it.
Fair enough. Now, how about Anthony Brown, Coach?
Anthony Brown. No, a guy that you look back over his career prior to coming to Oregon. He's a guy with, I'm probably estimating here, but well over 5,000 yards passing. Close to 60 touchdowns. Run the ball very effectively, and has performed well in some high pressure situations against good opponents. So Anthony goes into his 10th year here. So he's that's a joke. He's an older guy. We kid about that. But
hey, but anymore, shoot, George Moore's in what, year 7?
Yeah, I don't something like that. But no, Anthony's a very veteran presence who's played a lot of, like I said, football at a high level. Incredibly intelligent, very poised. had a really, really, really good spring, and I think he's poised to, build off of that in fall camp.
I'm always curious too. When you have competition heading into a camp, I think there's always an amplified magnifying glass on the quarterback spot. But don't you want that competition at every position, Coach?
Yeah, you do, because it makes everybody better, and it's kind of something we addressed with the quarterback position yesterday, that you've willingly chose to play the most scrutinized position in all of organized sports. And,
that's right.
You weren't drafted, you were enlisted, and our position, we should want that. We should want to bear that responsibility. And I think the whole room's excited about the opportunity that's presented to us this fall.
I haven't asked you yet about your running back, so it must be nice to have a couple studs coming back to lead that position group.
Yeah, between CJ and Travis, and then it goes even deeper than that. But yeah, there's a wealth of experience and production, and like I said, young talent as well. So I guess that's a theme that's kind of consistent across the board. A bunch of veterans with a lot of with a lot of experience, and a lot of young guys who have a chance to prove themselves.
What does that say about the development of the entire offense too? That you guys have so much talent spread out across so many years. I mean, that's like a coach's dream. That's what you're after, right?
Yeah, this is obviously only going into year 2 for me, but I think it speaks to the level of recruiting that Coach Cristobal and the staff have accomplished here, and to go into year 4, and just you see great classes being stacked on top of each other, and you get to that point where across the board at every position, there are guys that have been recruited very heavily across the country. They're going to have to fight for an opportunity to play, and that's what you want.
What's it going to be like to have fans around games again?
Games in general,
yeah,
it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But
for your offense on the road,
no, I mean, I can't understate this. Or overstate it. I'm not sure which one it would be, but like walking through the tunnel for the first game and coming out was one of the most odd and surreal moments that I've experienced in all my career as a player and a coach. And I had a buddy who played for Stanford who had games here, and you talk to everyone in and around the program, and people we meet in town, and they talk to you about the Austin experience and what an electric, exciting atmosphere it is to coach in and play in, and I'm just fired up to hear that thing cranked up for the first time.
Yeah, it's just speaking from experience. The first time I was ever on the sideline, it was a goosebump moment. It's not something that you prepare yourself for, and I'm sure you've had a few of those in your career. I can only imagine what it's like. Do you talk with guys? I mean, now it's a bigger group than normal that you have to talk about what it's like playing in front of a crowd like that. Do you talk about that as a coach with your guys, or just let them go?
Coach does a phenomenal job with that, and I think it'll be. You probably have to talk less about having them there than not having them there.
Yeah, fair enough.
But the issue will be once you go on the road, and particularly, and we're certainly not looking ahead to anything, but I've been there.
Yeah.
In the Horseshoe's it's a pretty impressive and loud place. So I think probably not week 1, aside from the emotion of being back in front of your home crowd. But when you get to week 2 and you haven't been in front of a loud crowd on the road in a year's time, that'll be something that's probably going to require our attention.
Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. I know that fall camp just around the corner. You guys are rocking and rolling, so thanks for being with us, and look forward to catching up with you on some coaches shows. It'll be fun. Hopefully, we're actually back in here again. This is a little more fun for me anyway, instead of just looking at you on that little TV.
Hopefully not another year.
Yeah,
another year between.
That's me knocking on wood, everybody.
Yes,
so let's just keep doing that. Coach Moorhead, thank you for being here.
Brother, thank
really
you,
appreciate it.
God bless.
Quick timeout on Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. When we come back from one coordinator to the other, Tim DeRuyter is going to join us. We're going to talk a little defense after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
All right, this time I can confidently say that it's the first time that a coach has been in the studio. So I asked Coach Moorhead, as Coach Tim DeRuyter joins us, Oregon defensive coordinator. I said, Coach, have you ever been in here before? Because we had to do everything on Zoom. You guys were on this tiny little TV. It's like I was talking to the mannequin half the time. And Coach Moorhead said, no, yeah, I was in here in January for a recruiting show. And I thought, okay, well, I know for sure that you haven't been in here before. So welcome. This is the studio. This is
very impressive. Very impressive.
Where we hang out. So I say all that because, I mean, it still seems like it's been so odd for me because I'm usually at practice and getting to know you guys. I haven't got a chance to really talk with you yet. So we did like one Zoom interview, and now here we are. So how are you? How are things?
I'm doing great. Trying to get settled in. My wife and I, we actually purchased a house here in Eugene.
Hey.
So
and in this market, well done.
Yeah, it was a little more than what I had anticipated, but really pleased. I mean, we live about a mile and a half from here, and really getting inundated in the community. There's great people here. Getting to know our players very, very well, the staff, and just excited about camp starting up.
You know, Coach had mentioned that when I was talking with him about half an hour ago, just how important it is for a team to get to know each other. You know, it's nice to actually be able to do that this year, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, it was difficult coming in at the end of January. All our players are wearing masks. Coaches are wearing masks. I'm trying to figure out, you know, with these guys' eyes versus these guys' eyes, who those body types are. But now we're finally to that point where the last few months, our guys have done a really nice job with all the protocols we asked them about, and getting to know them and just watching them train during the year, getting to know them, you know, having them for meals and, you know, not just the on the field and in the weight room type stuff, but off the field to find out who they are and what they're all about.
Well, let's talk about some of those individuals. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about a guy who's on pretty much every preseason watch list possible, and that would be Kayvon Thibodeau. Just what's his development been like? What do you need out of him this year?
Well, I tell you, you know, to me, he's almost like the world's most interesting man. I mean, he's a guy who's uber talented. And typically, you know, you find these guys that are this much talent somewhere else is lacking, be it academics or social. He nails it in all areas. And so one of the things I challenged him when I first got here was he's going to get a lot of accolades, but to keep his head mentally in it and try to work on being a leader. Because I think when you focus on others and not just yourself, it really helps you play better and hold yourself accountable. And he's done a fantastic job, I think, of stepping up that part of his game and being a leader and showing our guys, you know, what you know, being a Duck is all about as far as work ethic, commitment, you know, grit, getting it done both on and off the field, and then what a, you know, fantastic representative of what we're trying to do and be the face of the program. I've been really, really pleased with him.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on someone's shoulders, right? Just go be the face of the program. You're going to be fine. But that's what he's been able to do. Hey, I want to go through some position groups with you, and maybe let's start, you know, talking about versatility. We've seen it in previous years at Oregon, guys that move around in the defensive backfield. That's more common around college football. Well, KT's a guy who's done it a little bit himself, being versatile. Just how valuable is that to have on your defense?
Well, I'll tell you, we talk all the time about job swapping, and we have to have our best players on the field and match up personnel-wise. Well, to do that at an elite level, you want to be able to have guys like KT who have the ability, obviously, to rush the passer, but is athletic enough to play in space. So you can put him in different positions, again, depending on personnel on the field. And he really gives you a lot of flexibility as a play caller by what he brings. Guys like Mace Funa, Braden Switson, Adrian Jackson, I'm losing my mind. Jake Shipley, all those guys can do multiple things. And, whether, we're playing them as defensive ends, outside linebackers, bouncing back and forth gives you, a lot of different things we can give to an offense.
I'm glad that you just did that because I call everybody by their nickname, and I have to catch myself all the time. Like, no, I can't do that. Not everybody knows the name. But no, do you think in numbers when you're watching film too? I mean, is that a way you do it always?
In a lot of ways, especially when you first, start looking at players and trying to get
and when you're
to know
scouting,
them.
right?
Correct.
Makes sense. I wish that I had the mind like you guys do that could just see it. You've probably seen the movie A Beautiful Mind. I imagine
numbers.
I imagine exactly that's you guys when you're scouting and watching film, just numbers all around your heads.
At times, you're just trying to figure patterns out as you're seeing things.
Sure. One guy I feel like that fits the bill for that is Verone McKinley. What does he bring to your defense, and a guy that is just a lot of fun in a lot of different ways?
Yeah. Well, he's a very, very knowledgeable football player. I think he plays probably beyond his athletic ability because how smart he is as a football player. Coaches, unfortunately, at times can take a really talented, athletic, fast football player and make them slow by making them think. He's a guy who maximizes his ability, I believe. He can anticipate because he's smart and put himself in position. He's got some really good quick twitch and ball skills to make plays just because he's a smart football player.
Tell us about your defensive backfield with him in mind. What is that competition looking like at some different positions?
Well, I think if you start outside at the corner, really pleased with our two starters, Mikel and DJ. Those guys can really run. They're fluid, athletic, competitive. Give you a chance. Again, as a play caller, if you're always worried about having to protect a corner every down, you're probably not going to do a great job of stopping the run. You've got to be able to have safeties, enter the box to help stop things. And when you do that, guys got to hold up outside. But really pleased with them. And we've got some competition behind them, with Dante and Triquez really having nice springs. Dante missed a little bit of it, so we got to get him back in the flow, and Triquez a little bit there at the end. But I really like the strides they made in the offseason, so that'll be fun. And we got a couple of young guys coming in to mix in. Inside-wise, you mentioned Verone, but Steve Stevens had a really good camp. He's a guy that I think being behind, an All-American is kind of hard when you're playing behind Javon, trying to find your role. And he did a lot of good things on special teams. But now's his opportunity to seize that job, and he better because, we've got some guys behind him and Scoop David and BA Brian Essen that they're going to push. And so seeing those guys do some good things, and then in a traditional safety role, but we're really going to play those guys as edge defenders. You've got guys like Jamal Hill, who really flashed at times last year, and Bennett Williams. So those guys are all going to be, with Coach Yates, being honed. But again, that whole job swapping thing, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Where are we going to put him and where are we going to bring him?
That's becoming much more common around all levels of football, isn't it?
It really is. You've got to match up athletically. Offense coordinators, nowadays, Coach Moorhead does an unbelievable job of finding out where can I get that matchup where I want to and take advantage of it. Well, we're going to try to keep changing that matchup and change up where people are going to get help from.
How about up front? Tell us a little bit about the guys up front. And one guy in particular that I hear a lot about, and he's just such an easy guy to root for, is Popo. Let's start with Popo.
I'll tell you what, we had our players come back yesterday, and we had a conditioning run, try to see where guys were at, and you could tell some guys probably didn't do a whole lot of running last week. I'll tell you what, Popo did. He smoked it yesterday. And I think he's really matured as a player. Again, he's a guy that had a couple older guys in front of him. And I think he's realizing now that this is my moment. I'm going to seize this moment. I really like how he trained in the offseason. He's got some grit, toughness, very strong football player. And like I said, if he runs like all the time like we saw him last night, I really think we're going to have a big season out of him.
What's the rest of the front look like? You like the competition there?
Yeah, Brandon Dorless is somebody who's got a lot of talent, very twitchy, explosive player. I think he's ready to, take another step up and be a guy that an offense has to figure. Some of the other guys, Keon Ware-Hudson and Christian had really nice springs. Jason Jones, he's one of the guys you walk out there and you're like, who's that guy?
Yeah,
I mean, he stands out so much from a size standpoint, but he's starting to figure it out. For a guy that was very, very unselfish last year, I understand he had to play some offense, which, I get it. The guy that big, Coach Cristobal is not going to let him just stand around. But, we're going to have him play the nose guard some and try to, knock back some centers and use that size and girth that he has to our advantage.
Linebackers, you like the depth there. Getting a little healthier, huh?
Yeah. Coach Wilson does such a great job recruiting those guys and developing them. To see what Noah was able to do as a true freshman coming right in was really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Again, he brings a really good skill set as far as being a really big man who can run, does a great job in short area quickness, being able to change directions, sink his hips, be explosive, understand concepts of where he needs to be in the pass game, takes great angles of the ball, and then when he gets there in the right frame of mind and wants to not just tackle somebody but separate them from the football. And so I think he's going to really have a nice year this year. And then the competition at the other spots are going to be really, really good. You got a veteran like Drew Mathis who's got that experience, and he's a savvy, good football player, but he's definitely going to be pushed by those young, talented guys.
Yeah. Well, we've heard a lot about a lot of these young, talented guys, and Coach, the reason for that has been the recruiting. So I'm just curious. You come into this roster and you take a look. Just how deep is this group? You've coached a lot of football in your time. How deep is it?
I'll tell you, our youngest classes right now are really, really talented. Now, fantastic job by Coach Cristobal and the staff of getting those guys here. Now it's up to us to continue to take that and develop them to be their best self. And having extra competition, I think, obviously is going to drive that, but we've got to force that and find out in camp who's ready to go now and who's going to keep pushing.
I remember you and I talked when we did a donor function not long after you first got here. We were discussing, do you like being on the field? Do you like being in the box? Have you given more thought to that? And to be honest, I don't remember exactly what you told everybody.
Yeah, no, I've done both in my career, and a little bit it depends on the experience of the team, the experience of the coaching staff that I've been with. If I feel I've got to make the adjustments right there, then I want to be there on the sideline. I got a younger team. I want to be able to see their eyes and see if they're understanding what we want to get done. But I'm really blessed here that I've been able to work with Coach Wilson, Coach Yates. I've got great relationships with Coach Chance and Coach Salavea. We've just brought in Jimmy Brumbaugh and Nick Toth, and I've worked with Nick going back to Ohio and Texas A&M days. So having that experience with our guys, I think, is really going to help. And so I'll be able to be up in the box, I anticipate anyways, because I think I can call a game probably best up there. You take a little bit of the motion away from it. It's a little bit more cerebral up there, and you can just see so much better as to patterns that are happening.
You led to my next question. I was going to ask you, just tell us a little bit about your staff and the dynamic working with all these guys, and also bringing in some pretty big-time names in support staff roles. Just what does that do for you as a coordinator and for this entire program?
Well, going back to the staff, the full-time staff, I'm really impressed with the guys that Coach has been able to put together. Not only are they fantastic, X and O guys, but super, super people. And, the kind of guys that if you're a parent, there's no, magic as to why our guys recruit so well. Parents come and they say, hey, this guy's going to be around my son for a long time. He's going to develop my son both on and off the field. Why wouldn't I want a Joe Salavea, a Ken Wilson to be around these guys and help them get to that next level, not just athletically, but as a citizen. And can't speak enough about the character and the type of people they are. And as we went through spring, really felt good about things. And Coach was like, hey, you know what? I want to get everybody that much better. And let's talk about bringing some quality control guys in here and some analysts in here. And, we had a huge interest in those positions and interviewed quite a few people. And these two guys really jumped out from the rest of the pack, from their knowledge, their passion, their energy, recruiting. They're really going to bring a lot to the table and help us get to where we want to be.
You've experienced Autzen. What's it going to be like to experience Autzen wearing the green and yellow colors?
I'm really fired up that I get experience it from this perspective. Although there's only one thing, and I had to think about this going back to College Station. Coming in here as a defensive coordinator, it's not so bad. The crowd's nice and quiet for you. Now that I'm on defense and they're backing us, we got to do a great job with our signals to make sure we can communicate with our players, because our home crowd does such a good job of disrupting it. And it really hit me in the face when I went to A&M for the first time. Having been to a lot of places where our offense had to worry about things, but not so much the defense. You get crowds like there, and particularly here at Autzen. It's a great advantage to have, but you better have a plan for it.
Just as a man who's been around so much football in your career, just comparing it to last year and now heading into this year, what's it going to be like to have fans back around?
I mean, it was so surreal last year. You run out in the stadium and you see, cardboard cutouts. It kind of reminded me, I was talking to somebody, the Twilight Zone, where, that episode where you walk in, and there's mannequins walking around, It's like, this is real life, but it didn't seem like it. So getting back to normalcy, and fingers crossed that we'll be able
knocking on wood,
keep it this way. But I know our football team, our staff, everybody's so excited about seeing Autzen filled up again, and our country needs this, if nothing else.
I'm with you. Tim DeRuyter, I could talk to you for hours. I'm looking forward to catching up with you again on some coaches' shows. And just thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. And best of luck in fall camp. Looking forward to getting to know you better.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and Go Ducks.
All right, Coach, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. When we get a quick timeout, we're going to come back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union, and go through a little bit of the fall camp schedule. All starts on Friday. Back to the Country Financial Studio next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat, or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics, because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s, like go back to college, learn to skateboard. Whoa. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. At aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a free 3-minute chat with the friendly digital retirement coach, Avo, and receive personalized tips to help boost your savings. Start chatting with Avo today at aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're inside the Country Financial Studio, and man, I just got to tell you, it was so great having Coach Cristobal, Coach Moorhead, Coach DeRuyter here with us in the studio again. You know, I spent an entire year, we joke about this, but seriously, we spent an entire year plus with me just looking at faces on that TV, and it was just like, there's this big, comfortable chair sitting right there, and I was just ready for for that. And so I'm so glad that here on Media Day we were able to do that. So Coach Moorhead and Coach DeRuyter will meet with the media again on Saturday. Coach Cristobal, after his about 20-minute press conference with the media today on Media Day, he'll talk with the media again on Friday, the first day of fall camp. Everything is kind of ramping up. The guys are getting acclimated to, well, Eugene again, the Hatfield-Dowland complex, being around Autzen Stadium, and then they will hit the field on Friday. We will have Quack Minutes, myself and Rob Mosley, for you coming on the Oregon football social media channels. Rob will always have his written GoDucks.com practice report, and then every day we'll have interviews for you on Duck Insider telling you what happened at practice as we build toward that opening day, because it is coming home, as we've all been saying, 2021. It's kind of a fun build-up, I think, for a number of different reasons, but the biggest is, no doubt, that there will be fans at Autzen Stadium. Season tickets are on sale, and fans, I cannot wait to be back with you all, because walking around Autzen Stadium in the seats is where I was as the sideline reporter. I say that in air quotes, sideline reporter. I'm just excited to not be doing that again. I'll put it that way, because it just wasn't the same. It really was surreal. I've actually said that it was like the Twilight Zone before, and Coach DeRuyter, he said that, and I just thought, yeah, that is exactly what it was like. So what does this roster look like? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about over the next few days. Jerry Allen and Sean McPherson are both talking with a number of different student athletes as we are live in the 1 o'clock hour at Media Day, and we will have all those interviews for you over the next few days, talking about a couple different position groups. Coach Cristobal, though, if you're just joining us, did say that Anthony Brown, he deserves to be the starter heading into fall camp. Now, there will be competition at the quarterback position, just like there is at every position every fall camp. I think every coach would tell you that you have to have that competition. But Anthony Brown is the favorite. Now, he's the most experienced guy, too, so I don't think that should come as a surprise to anybody. I think that, in my opinion, I love the fact that Johnny Johnson has been brought up by every coach we've asked today, and he's been brought up by almost all of his teammates as a guy who's just a real leader as well. Johnny Yams, if you don't know, that's his nickname. Of course, probably made famous when Justin Herbert shook his helmet on the sideline when Mikael Wright returned a kick, and it was a big-time moment a couple years ago. Well, Johnny Johnson, though, in all seriousness, I think has every bit of a leadership quality, and I think he's a real X-factor to this Oregon team this year. And maybe X-factor's not even giving him enough credit. I think he's going to be a real key, in addition to guys like C.J. Verdell and Travis Dye. You have so many different pieces coming back on offense. I think that the X-factor really – the key to this entire thing might just be the depth at a couple different positions that the Ducks did not have, frankly, a year ago. And then I didn't even ask him about this, but Coach Cristobal said it. Ball security is a huge key. Ball security is a huge, huge key for this team this season. The turnover margin, I think, got away from him in the last few games. That was what Coach Cristobal was alluding to with some of the statistics. That's a real key heading into this season, particularly in the Pac-12 schedule, I think. Quick timeout. When we return, a bronze medalist. That's right. It's a big-time addition for the Ducks trophy case, if you will. We're back after this. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, welcome to the Spicy Drive-In. May I take your order?
Can I get the spicy chicken sandwich, please?
The spicy chicken is an excellent choice, sir. And to drink?
Whatever's fine.
Oh, may I make a beverage pairing recommendation this evening?
Sure.
If we are feeling especially bold tonight, sir, I would recommend the Mountain Dew with that. It's bravely unrestrained with a very alive aroma that pairs wonderfully with your spicy chicken. It's followed by a hint of zesty citrus flavor.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm sure you already know this, sir, but remember to appreciate the nose first by giving the Mountain Dew a little swirl to relieve volatilize it.
What?
To change the flavor compounds and activate your taste buds to get them fully primed for that chicken sandwich.
It's delicious.
Now you're getting the hang of it. The muscular flavor charge characteristics of Mountain Dew make for an absolutely epic mouthfeel when paired with spicy cuisine. It is quite on point, sir.
Dude, it's a perfect match. Like they were made for each other.
So true, so true.
When you want to make good food bolder and bold food better, do the Dew.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest, cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
We're back in the Country Financial Studio. It is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack. Thanks for being with us. Good to be back with everybody this week. Fall camp begins on Friday. Today, Oregon Football Media Day. A number of interviews for you talking about a bunch of different position groups over the next few days on the show. Yeah, yesterday we were telling you about how the Duck was ready to make a big announcement. Well, the Duck did make a big announcement. He wrote a book, actually. You can find it at the Duck Store, and our friends at the Duck Store actually are helping support the cheer and mascot program with the Duck. A duck from Oregon tries to fly. Notice that the title isn't Learns to Fly, Tries to Fly, written by the Duck. Well, that was one big announcement yesterday. I saw a lot of people on social media wondering what the big announcement was going to be that the Duck was counting down to. And I will ask everybody, did you really think it was going to be something serious coming from the Duck? Well, it just so happened, though, that the Ducks weren't done with big announcements. One in the morning, one in the evening. The uniforms have been revealed, by the way. It's an update to the Oregon Football 2.0 uniforms that were released a couple years ago. My personal favorite, the gradient wings on the helmet. For example, they go from green to yellow on the all-green Oregon jersey this season. I'm a huge fan. I actually, as a broadcaster, think that the best feature of these uniforms, the numbers are big and easy to read. That's really all you need from the press box level. I'm a big fan of the white uniform top with the green pants and green helmet as well. Those of you listening for our radio audience, if you haven't yet seen them, just do a quick search on the social media of your choice for Oregon Football or Go Ducks, and you'll see all the different looks. The all-yellow uniform with the silver wings, I'm a big fan as well. I don't know if I'm supposed to call it silver or gray or anthracite. I'll be honest, I didn't know anthracite was a color until I started working at the University of Oregon.
Can you spell it?
I probably could spell it. I'm not going to try on the air. Thank you, Scott Phillips. But yeah, the uniforms, I mean, look, it's Oregon football. The uniforms are always going to be next level good. And fans, looking forward to having you all see them in person again here coming up soon. Season tickets on sale. If you go to GoDucks.com, a lot of information on where we sit with protocols and what everything's going to look like. You can find all of that information on GoDucks.com. That's Oregon Football Media Day. My thanks so much to Coach Cristobal, Coach Moorhead, and Coach DeRuyter for joining us here in the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. And tomorrow, I think the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley, might even drop by. What has the Dodgers fan been up to this summer? We'll find out tomorrow. See everybody.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided.